Hello, and welcome to this episode of Let's Chat MetaPower, with our guest being Joanna Rusling. Now, Joanna knows that not one single approach is the right one for every individual, and she's been trained in a range of modalities, including functional and integrative nutrition, aromatherapy, including the aroma touch technique and symphony of the cells, hypnosis, rapid transformational therapy, and results mindset coaching. Joanna's educational background also includes a Bachelor of Science in Medical Science and with first class honours and a PhD in molecular microbiology. So when human beings experience extreme life stressors, it's not uncommon for their life to completely unravel. Having overcome chronic mental and physical illnesses of her own at different times in her life, Joanna knows how difficult it can be finding the right help and the right solutions. This has ignited her passion in assisting people to understand how chronic illnesses, fatigue, and inflammation are not a life sentence and how they can believe in their body's ability to heal. Joanna helps clients who include children, adults, and families to be empowered to embrace a wellness lifestyle and rewrite their destiny so that they look forward to living a life that they love with energy and vitality. So let's hear from Joanna now as she shares some photos of what she was going through prior to her starting on MetaPower and in the journey that unfolds.
This is where it all started. So I actually, at my very last class, the week before COVID hit and we had lockdowns in late February, I think the class was actually February 2020. And as I was about to drive off from the car park, I finished the class and I actually felt on my left elbow this patch. I thought that's a bit strange. I actually remember looking in my car visor at the mirror and going, oh, because you couldn't see it. And it's obviously, my first instinct was that I'd put my elbow down on a surface and I've picked up some sort of microbe, probably a fungi or something like that. And lo and behold, as COVID and all the stuff progressed, that time period, this patch just got worse and worse and worse. So it actually continued until, there were times when, like this photo here, where it was just had progressed to the whole arm. Extremely painful, itchy, cracking and bleeding, really, really difficult. Sometimes it got so bad I was really concerned with risk of infection, and I did develop cellulitis on several occasions requiring antibiotics. And it just would come up and like just open up, not even on the creases, like just using these big, deep wounds that were almost calloused on all my knuckles. It made just daily life really difficult. And, it was really annoying, but it just kept persisting and it was just painful. And I didn't think really dangerous until I started having bouts of cellulitis. And I tried all sorts of things, functional medical. It just kept spreading and it was all over my elbow. It was so inflamed and red. And it just would get slightly better, things I would try, and then it would get worse. And so I was doing everything I knew in my toolkit, obviously oils and all these things. If I went too overboard with the oils, actually, it made it worse. So there was a fine line there. One of the few things that saved me, and that's why in some of the photos you can see that it's sort of got white intermixed with it, and it was the doTERRA diaper cream from the US, which is basically pure zinc oxide with incredible other ingredients. And it is hands down, I'd never live without it now. Like it's always there as a backup for any sort of skin issues. If you've already got broken skin, it was truly that and bandaging. So I went through so many bandages. In the end, I was actually boiling them up and cleaning them, sterilizing them myself and washing them because I just couldn't afford to keep up with because I was having to do that every day. Some really weird stuff going on. And so I did seek out, I know a lot of people in the functional medical space, so prescribed, all like everything you can possibly imagine. I was trying to be all over it. And what I found with any other probiotics apart from doTERRA, to be honest, is that yes, they look fantastic on the outside, and this one's a little bit like our Terrazyme with our probiotic. However, so many of the microorganisms are dead. And so I realized I was struggling. It would cause flare-ups. It would make things like break out in hives in addition to the skin breaking and stuff like that. So things are pretty crazy, and I just kept persevering. I did get really concerned when you start to see this sort of formation, because this is on my other arm. This is not on my left arm. And so this is a sign that I'm really, really starting to have infection come up and spread throughout the body. So this is not good, probably a combo of staph and strep. And as a trained medical scientist, I was just starting to get really concerned. And so I just kept persevering and trying all the things I could. In amongst this time, the other thing that was really bizarre, and a sign that my body was really having massive amounts of inflammation that was beyond just my skin, was I developed gout in my right toe, which is classic here. And when I mentioned it to my GP, I actually sent her this photograph. That's why it has a lovely arrow on it, because I was concerned it was hot and swollen. I knew exactly what it was. I'm trained to diagnose gout with uric acid crystals in the joints. And lo and behold, she's like, oh, that's not an issue. But I knew that the high levels of uric acid and the symptoms of gout were just another demonstration of massive inflammation. So that's where I was sort of hanging, and I was literally hanging by a thread on the 1st of October 2022, when fortunately I just cellulitis and all, I literally looked horrific. I was covered in red blotches. And I went along and I thought, I'm not going to let this deter me from attending a doTERRA event. And because we hadn't seen each other a lot. And Paul Ovens was having an event in Perth in Maylands, and actually had the new MetaPower kit that was launched. And I was waiting patiently for mine to come in the mail, because it'd been launched at US Global Convention that September. And in the end, he said, you look like you need this, just when yours arrives finally, because the delivery times and our freight company at the time was not very good. It was taking forever. And yeah, so basically I started it on the 1st of October 2022. Within a week, no more antibiotics needed. The doTERRA probiotics actually took. So then I realized that I was not in a place where I was able to set a foundation for my gut lining to actually heal. And so I wasn't able to, I needed to not just rebuild the garden bed, and then also allow it to have soil in it in order for the seeds to be able to germinate. Does that make sense? That's probably the easiest way I can describe it. So you are not going to get any healing or any traction on inflammation, on oxidation that's going on in your body, or any inflammation in any of the tissues until you sort the gut. And I knew this, but I just couldn't get traction. No matter what I tried to do with bone broth and things, all those sorts of things stimulated massive histamine release for me, and also resulted in me probably activating mast cells. And so I was actually showing a lot of signs and symptoms of mast cell activation syndrome, which I discovered through 2023. And it's actually it's going to be stimulated a lot. Yeah, so it's that fun time. So that's when I discovered MetaPower Advantage. I didn't go headlong into the whole program at once, because I was so cautious with where the state of my body was. And by the end of October 2022, I didn't need bandages anymore. And I just wish I'd taken more photos to see, just show, but I was it was as much inflammation as going on and representative on the skin. And I knew how dire it was in my gut. That's also what was also occurring in my brain. And so I was really struggling with insomnia. Insomnia was probably one of the first symptoms I get when I'm exposed, even now, to, for want of a better word, COVID, or whatever it is that's constantly circulating through the community. That is my very first sign and symptom that will make me immediately take evasive action. So I do believe that was a big part of it. And whatever was going on in my body, it really plunged me into beyond menopause. So it took me a long time to actually understand the hormonal connection in all of this. So none of my organ systems could actually function optimally. So it got gotten to the point where my gut wasn't even probably absorbing all the nutrition that it could. And I was nutritionally depleted, not absorbing, not able to have the building blocks I needed to actually restore my skin and just get the healing back on track. So it's a bit like having, constantly our body has all these different plates spinning at once at different rates in the air. And it is a master at handling it all for us. We don't need to think about, making our heart beat, breathing. We don't have to think about all of these things. It just happens. And yet when the wheels start to fall off the bus, and I would describe for many people, over 65% of white women, according to the reports from the US, and over 80% of Black women will experience life-altering symptoms with transversing perimenopause to menopause and postmenopause. So I'm just not going to stop talking about this now. I still have after effects. I suffer from rosacea. It's probably my Irish heritage. So yeah, there's still things that I'm working on, but I feel like I'm almost sort of 80% back to where I was back in 2019. And the MetaPower Advantage, I don't honestly know where I'd be if Paul Ovens hadn't have handed me that box of that convention kit on the 1st of October 2022. So extremely grateful. So grateful. And the wonderful thing with the Advantage being a collagen product, I didn't know how I was going to go with it, because I've been trying to do bone broths and making sure I had all the right amino acids. But what I was finding was that with crude things that were like the protein molecules like casein and the building blocks, they're super large when we eat them as a whole. And you just don't have the capacity to digest it and to process it when your body is compromised and in a state of that extreme inflammation. So for me, the tripeptide formulation of the collagen product that we have was exactly what my body needed. It didn't have to do any work. It didn't have to come up with the right enzymes to stick things together. It didn't have to break something down. It just could immediately go to work and fix. I like to describe it like coral. So your GI tract with all the villi and then the microvilli that sit on top of that. I like the Great Barrier Reef with all these incredible coral and crevices. And the surface area is so significant in that part of the gut that if you took it and you laid it all out flat, the surface area would be the size of a tennis court. So it's astonishing. So it can really take a lot of abuse, but then it can get to a point where it just can't cope if it's dire. So yeah, that was sort of my introduction to MetaPower, and I haven't stopped loving it ever since. I incorporate the assist now. Initially, I was, especially with the way my thinking was, I was too perfectionist, and I was like, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting to take it, exactly the right time before the meal, etc. And now I know that it doesn't matter, just get it in there. So I try and take the MetaPower Assist once a day with my meal with the largest carbs. During that whole period with my skin, my symptoms were so extensive that I had, the only thing that really helped save me during that time was intermittent fasting, and I was basically eating paleo or virtually ketogenic diet with greens. So like with green salads and things like that. I know we need a lot more potassium when we eat like that, but if I had any starchy carbohydrates, I couldn't even tolerate gluten-free. None of it. It would just, my arm would just literally, the next day, the skin would just come off in my hand. So intermittent fasting certainly helped me, along with restricting at the time. I think the sugars just obviously the microbes that were out of balance in my gut, because obviously opportunistic pathogens, we refer to them as, who will take the opportunity if given license. So definitely there are microbes in my gut that were literally having a big party. And anytime they got to eat sugar or anything that would break down into sugar, they just took liberty. So that was just not helping in my situation.
Was that at the same time as you were having the Advantage, Joanna?
Before that, that's one of the ways I coped before the Advantage. And I had done a lot of different things. Like I showed that picture there of taking those special probiotics. That was all functional, medically prescribed, all that stuff. But nothing I did helped me to get traction. And so I was starting to get quite concerned, because obviously this has been ongoing since February 2020 when I first found that first patch. So I have no doubt that initially it was a type of fungi or yeast on the outside of my skin. And then through whatever mechanism, I know stress was definitely involved. I mean, COVID was a very stressful time for most of us, um, being going into menopause during that time. And it's just like I had the perfect storm. You know, we had two of our sons have life-threatening health issues during COVID. Like, it was really serious. Fortunately, not at the same time. And it was just holding space and just trying to get through. And there's nothing, when something's wrong with one of your kids, you everything else doesn't matter, even your own skin, you know. So really, yeah, not a fun time. And I feel like I'm finally coming out of that now. Like, bizarre stuff happened, like with my hair fell out. And if I stopped MetaPower now, I tried to take a little bit of a break to see what would happen, and my hair just, no, it's like, back on it. Like, it immediately stops my hair loss from the hair hormonal stuff. So I'm not out of the woods yet, but my elbows and everything are perfect now. I've just got tiny little bits. And I can have potatoes and sweet potato, and I just incorporate little bits of, because I know these was good resistant starches, obviously a great fiber, and we need good fiber for a good gut microbiome. So now I'm back to restoring and repairing my microbiome for a permanent solution now that the gut lumen's healed. But yeah, quite remarkable. I love the fact that our skin, when we're younger, so right up until probably the age of 25, we start to lose mitochondria. And we start to, in 35, we really start to show maybe some lines and some aging symptoms. So up until the age of 35, our skin turns over every 28 days. So that's the same on the inside as for the outside. So I'm so grateful that the organ that I was affected was my skin. Obviously, nerves and neurons and brain tissue take a lot longer to heal than that, and bones, etc. So within a month, you can actually really turn things around. So you need to repair the environment before you can replenish with the good bugs. That's probably my biggest takeaway I'd like to share with everyone. Because until the coral's there, there's no environment for the fish to live. It's essentially like Finding Nemo just can't survive there. And it's all exposed, out there for, you ever watch Finding Nemo, the great, the big great white sharks, like Barry, I think his name is, from memory, when the kids were little. Yeah, it's really challenging to get on top of it.
It sounds like such a challenging time you went through, and it must have been concerning with your level of knowledge and, being able to understand what was happening, and then the relief. It must have felt like a lifeline to try that MetaPower and have those results so quickly as well, Joanna.
Absolutely. Yep.
Question here from Leonie, asking, can you share what you're doing to rebuild your gut?
Oh, so, well, from then, the MetaPower, it was literally a mirror. So what was going on the inside was being mirrored on the outside. We're taught that our body is all these different pieces. We've got our cardiovascular system, we've got, all the different parts of us. But even our brain, and we're taught that there's this blood-brain barrier and that it's separate. But the honest truth is, it's one whole microcosm. It's one, and it is a whole system. And eventually, if one system is breached, it will spill out into the others. So within that month, once the skin, it literally got traction, it was able to heal. And I was very sensible. I didn't suddenly go, oh yeah, woohoo, and just start eating whatever I liked. And even to this day, I had something the other week. I was out with a client and we had some Asian food well, and I was like, it tasted fantastic, but I knew the next 2 days, and I'm still actually trying to clear my throat from it. They must be cooking with lots and lots of probably canola or fake fat. And I can just feel it immediately in my body. I'm still quite sensitive. I can feel the energetic, like, oh, that was not an elevation. That was a depression in how my body's feeling. So it gives me really good feedback now. So it took about a month. And then obviously during that time, unfortunately, we can purchase it here in Australia now with the PB Assist. So I love that product. The fact that it's not dead microbes. So when you have massive amounts of inflammation going on and you subject yourself even to bits of a bacterial cell wall, the lipopolysaccharides from a dead bacterium, you are going to trigger your immune system as though you were having an invasion, that you're having an infection. And if you already have lots of inflammation or your immune system's on high alert because you have a chronic illness or autoimmune disease or cancer, and you subject yourself to that, it's immediately triggering. So there's going to be histamine response, there's going to be swelling, there's going to be here it's giving off the alarm. Does that make sense? So it can be not good to evoke more histamine on top of an already, you're just throwing petrol on the fire.
It's interesting. We'll just go back to what you said, the skin health, it takes 28 days. And isn't that great that our MetaPower is the month supply? Can I ask a question from a friend this afternoon, messaged and asked if she tried the MetaPower for 30 days and just gave it that 1 month, what would happen if she stopped? It's just she's considering doing the 21-day challenge. So she's wondering, is it worth her doing it for the month and then stopping? What differences will she notice? I hope I've asked the question correctly for my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, for me, when I did stop and even after I was on it for a good 12 months, I didn't not take it because I really wanted to not have this return. So I really wanted to get traction. And then probably within 5 days, I started noticing the hair loss. But for me, I'm a mature woman that's also, whatever this whole crisis has really impacted and plunged me beyond postmenopause. Like I wasn't even producing DHEA, which is like a master hormone that should not be impacted by our reproductive organs. So there was lots of stuff that wasn't happening correctly. So it would just be see, and it's different for everyone. So obviously my body did prioritize my skin, which I'm really grateful for because it was pretty urgent. I wanted it to sort of heal that first. So, but we don't get to sit there with a list and say, do my skin on my face and then do my hair and then fix that and the nails. And we don't get to decide. Our body will prioritize. And so I do believe that a lot of it you won't notice on the outside, potentially for months. But it will be what's going on with the gut, because I do believe most of us are damaged from glyphosate. Even at my local dog park, they spray it all the time. You wouldn't know because you see they put the sign up while they're spraying, and then once they leave during the day, people going down that afternoon have no idea. So they're little dogs with little legs and have no idea, and they're all walking through it. And so that alone is causing massive gut problems because it punches holes in our gut just like it does an insect, which is what it's designed to do, to stop just to influence weeds and other insects.
Yeah, I love how you describe that, Joe, as that we don't have the list of saying, okay, this is what I want done first. And MetaPower is all about balancing the body in the way that's needed in that sort of order, but it's not up to us to decide. That's really great. You touched on that. Another question that came in today was, does caffeine have an impact on the benefits of taking MetaPower?
So obviously, when we drink the MetaPower, I do advise, and it's suggested because it is a tripeptide, it's prepared for us in really small. So a tri meaning 3. So it's so small that it's 3 amino acids in length. That's what tri means by being a tripeptide. So normally in the body, we'd have amino acids joined together like pearls on a necklace to form an actual larger protein. So don't have it with, you don't want to denature it by having it with hot foods or drinking it and then having a really hot cup of coffee or tea later on. Depending on where you're at with your wellness journey, caffeine is probably not great if you've really been tapping out your adrenals for quite some time and you're relying on it to, you like caffeine crash. So I would be looking at it and just sort of analysing how it makes you feel. If you're at the point where caffeine causes you to be jittery, you obviously need to start to switch it out, and switching it out with something like MetaPower Advantage would be an absolute blessing, because the other aspect to MetaPower Advantage isn't just the collagen aspect. The other reason why it gave my body exactly what it needed to heal were the components in there that help our mitochondria to make energy. So it actually helped our cells make energy, which then enabled the proper communication and the ability to, put coal in the steam engine to actually get the whole locomotive to move and for action to start to occur. So when I was just having bone broth and just collagen and it was too hard, my body had to do all this work to process it and to better use it, it just wasn't able to do it. But when it had the building blocks, plus the energy and the ability to actually get things moving, that's when I healed. So it really is ridiculously unique. Like doTERRA don't just think of things by halves. They just take it to like a 200% concept. It's just mind blowing. And later on, hearing obviously Emily Wright's story and what the issues that she was having with her face and the bones in her face, I was like, of course. And so, not that I'm grateful that she went through all that horrible experience and she's still having issues. But now I know exactly why doTERRA put this product together. Yeah.
You're getting a lot of nods in the audience here with what you're saying.
So, not that I wish someone, but our experiences and the fact that doTERRA had to come up with something to save our only female owner in doTERRA, who's such an incredible woman who we wouldn't have this amazing company without her, to actually help her health. And as a byproduct to that, it's helping the rest of us. So one of those things that you won't see from the outside is this collagen product assisting with bone regeneration. So yeah, that's pretty astonishing. That's going to be awesome. But that will you'll just feel stronger. You'll be able to just do things for longer. And that's probably one of the greatest risks to women as we age. We can slow down aging with this product. And that's what excites me so much, because for so long, with all that was going on through these last 4 years, I couldn't talk about health. I couldn't talk about medicine. I couldn't talk about published science. Had constant 30-day Facebook bans. I'm like, how am I going to share my knowledge and what I know with people when my voice was diminished? And so what I found was that when this product was released, we can just talk about anti-aging and biohacking until we go blue in the face, and that's completely compliant. Wonderful. So it's very safe for us to actually be able to have conversations both publicly and online with this range, and it's super exciting. And we get flagged in the algorithms when we mention medical terms, so it's not great to do that, especially if we're actually mentioning doTERRA. We're also, that's not a great thing as well. We're flagged for TGA and other regulatory bodies worldwide either. We do want to sort of keep our company safe and go below the radar, so to speak. So yeah, talk about anti-aging, talk about biohacking, and of course all the knock-on effects of that. Have my energy, vitality. I mean, my sleep, as I said, is just so important. Yeah, so it could take you a while, but you'll notice your energy levels. You'll notice that's impacted. Yeah.
I just wanted to open up to the group. Anyone here who has questions you want to bring along? There's a little bit of chat going on as well in the chat, but you're welcome to unmute. We'll stay on for a few more minutes. And I guess while people are thinking of questions, Joanna, what helped you create it into a habit, a daily habit? Or was it something that you started with the collagen and took it daily and then added in the assist? What was the journey like for you?
I don't know how I heard it initially, but it was suggested that anyone over the age of sort of 50 or heading towards 50 should take it at night. I didn't want it to wake me during the night, so I took it sort of after dinner, but when there was a big gap. And I started to just, when we're creating a new habit and with the state that my brain fog and my mental state was in. I mean, I've even took myself off to a psychiatrist, spent over $2,000 on seeing specialists. So I saw dermatologists, I saw my regular GP, I saw functional medical people. Like I was not trying to, oh yeah, I know everything to figure this out. Like I spent a lot of money. And wow, I've even had sleep studies done. I've seen a respiratory specialist because I thought that was all tied in, and he told me I should probably lose weight and then I would have depression. that was like $500 for that visit. And I was just like, wow. But I did walk out with a printout of the sleep study, and it showed that for 30 times during the night, my oxygen saturation dropped below 88%. So that is significant enough to tell me that that alone would cause massive inflammation in my body. It would prompt my body to wake up. So it would be secreting cortisol to wake me up. And if that's happening 30 times during the night, my sleep quality was really not great. And so lo and behold, what did doTERRA do in the following mention? They release sleep products. So I have to have another talk about the sleep products all the time. Yeah, it's like, do they read my mind or what's happening in my life? I don't know.
Doesn't it feel like that even every month with the
Oh
product?
gosh.
They're onto it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Jeanette is asking, do you know of any FMD north of Brisbane?
I do know a really awesome person in Queensland, but I'll have to find out where she is. So just reach out to me and I'll see if I can get her detail. Yeah, I actually saw her pop up today. That is so, it always happens. It's like, why have I seen that? Why do I need to know that right now? And then lo and behold, someone needs the information. So that happens to me like on a daily. So yeah, just reach out, Jeanette Ashton, and I'll share her info. And in all fairness, it's not that I'm not against Western medicine, please be clear. Like, I'm a trained medical scientist. I've just had multiple occasions in my life, and this was another one where I was literally told it's all in my head. It's and it was like, no, I needed my mitochondria to be supported, and I needed the right building blocks to heal my gut. And then I was able to get on with it. What I'm super excited about is, obviously we've had a rezhuzh. Well, we still have a normal PB assist, but I'm now actually also using the PB restore, which is, I can do a whole talk just on this. Like, I have never seen a probiotic that has bacteriophages. Okay, so they're a special type of virus that only attacks bacteria. So this is just taking probiotics to a level that it's just amazing. So super excited that doTERRA are just at the forefront. They're at the cutting edge. Like, they're unlike any other company on the planet. Like, I just hope you all get that. Like, it's truly and you would expect that, like, just with the essential oils in and of themselves, like, just to have access to pharmaceutical grade essential oils is a pretty special feat, right? But this is just bringing it forward with these other nutritional products. Even the lifelong vitality, like the day that I discovered, and I was on a hunt for the right information. I've been with doTERRA now for 10 years, and I couldn't understand why it did the things it did. And initially I was like, oh, I know all about vitamins. I don't need to. Obviously, it's a network marketing company. They're going to be having a vitamin like everyone else. Didn't think anything of it. And so the first group of people I saw in a group, they all had these T-shirts like, we've got our doTERRA baby, at the US convention in 2014. And I was like, took a bit of liberty, got the Aussie accent, walk up to all these American people, and they love hearing our accent, so they're quite happy to talk to you, and ask them about why are you wearing these shirts? Like, and one couple had gone through like 20 rounds of IVF, no pregnancy, and all of them had the similar story. Then they found out they were too old to adopt, and so it was going to be a life of, as a couple, not having a family. So then they told me within like 6 weeks of LLV they were knocked up. I was like, I beg your pardon. So I'm like, as soon as I got home from the States in September 2014, I was like, I need to know what this is and why it works. Why is this not like any other vitamin I've ever? There's got to be something to it. But I didn't find the answers for a few years, and then eventually I stumbled on a really old original LLV doTERRA PowerPoint, and discovered how they manufacture it in such a way that it mimics a functioning gut microbiome. And so that just explained everything to me. So our products are really unique, including our LLV. Yeah, it's pretty astonishing.
You're an inspiration, Joanna, and even Jeanette here has said she's missed your talk. So thank you for tonight. What we might do is finish the recording there, but everyone's welcome to stay on another 5-10 minutes just to have a bit more Q&A. But I'll just like to say thank you again, Joanna. There's so much more I'm sure we could hear from you, and it's just fascinating. Thank you for putting it into language that we understand as well. Appreciate your time.